Welcome to the Spiritual Principles Made Practical podcast. I'm your host, Scott Friedman, and today I'm going to be digging into acknowledging growth because what we pay attention to grows, right? And so, if in my mind at least, everything that happens that's good is a result of my growth, and in specific, my growth in my own self acceptance, right? Because we're all these amazing, unlimited beings with phenomenal creative powers that are always working and always creating. And the question is just to what degree do we accept and acknowledge and take ownership of that and become conscious of that and direct it in the way that we will. And so the way to grow that is to be aware and accepting of where we're at now, right? Because the most effective way forward is to have greater acceptance of what's true right now. So what's true right now about my growth? Well, in the last couple of days, I've been uh, much better at being able to stick to my gun, so to speak, is to say and articulate what I know to be true and not holding back so much for fear of how it might be received, or more accurately, how it might not be received. So I was a networking thing the other day, and they wanted, everybody was talking about, what they do and stuff. And I said, well, to me, I said, if we want to do better, we have to grow, and actual growth means having a greater acceptance of those unlimited abilities that are part of us and the unique characteristics that are part of us as well. And I could see people, really relating to that, and I could feel the resonance in the room, and so that was really good because I can remember times when, I was in a networking thing and I tried to express myself, and I just didn't feel that resonance in the room, and so I feel okay, great. You know what? I'm growing in my acceptance of myself. And another way that I'm doing that, and this is probably more impactful and important to me than anything, is that increasingly I'm aware of the fact that I create the entire world with my mind. There's nothing in the differentiated universes and dimensions that I don't create with my mind. It's all created with my mind. And my acceptance of that is growing stronger and stronger and stronger. I mean, not quite to the extent that I'm, able to say in a networking environment, and to express that and have it resonate. But I'm moving in that direction, right? And so that is really a big part of growth. And as I acknowledge that, I'm reminded of the fact that I don't create. Everything is already created. I don't create anything, right? From that standpoint of being, I already am all that exists. And so it's not a matter of, uh, working or forcing myself to relate to and identify the fact that I create all that exists with my mind. It's really more a case of just relaxing my resistance to accepting what's always true and always has been true. Because the in addition to all the other things that our mind creates, it creates time, right? So when our mind isn't engaged, right? When our mind's not engaged when we're in the flow, right? When we're spontaneous in the flow. And that's because we're not in our mind then, right? So then so time doesn't exist. And if you ask people who are in the flow, it's like, well, how long were you in the flow for? Well, gee, I'm not, I reflecting back, I can tell you how much in the flow I was from the standpoint of the differentiated world, and reflecting back on it. But when I was in the flow, I had absolutely no sense of time. And that's because when we're in the flow, we're experiencing being, and there is no differentiation. So when we're in the flow and experiencing being, there's we don't have any concept of time. We don't have any concept of being separate. So there's no self-consciousness, right? The spontaneity is like 100% there. I mean, that's why people like love to see like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams and those guys, clips of their past performances, because it's so evident that they're just riffing, right? I mean, they're just in the flow and it's just happening and it's just spontaneous, right? And they're just being. And so and that's where all the joy is, that's where all the love is, that's where everything that we could ever label as being good is in being and accepting. And so but that's a higher vibration, a stronger experience of reality than the differentiated universe where we say, oh, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do this. In the past, I did this. In the future, I hope to do that. All of that, because the past and the future, they're all created in the mind as well. So that if we're not thinking about the past, it doesn't exist. The only reason it exists is because we're thinking about it. We're giving it our attention, right? And so when we're giving something our attention, we're creating it, right? So we have a relationship if we give that relationship our attention. We have uh, business, we have transactions and income if we give that our attention, right? And if we don't give that our attention, then it doesn't exist. So if it's like I've always said, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. It's like it's and there's so much to be done, at least from my point of view, in uh, understanding the mind and accepting the mind and understanding what the mind does and how it creates and our ability to focus our attention. And so, it's like, and it could be challenging though, right? Because I'll give you an example. So they say like, okay, boy, um, if I reached all these millions of people around the world and I influenced their thinking to be more win-win thinking, boy, that would be great. And that's a thought, but that thought only exists in the present moment, right? So if I don't have that thought, then it ceases to be a goal. It ceases to be a point of focus, if you will. And the only reason that I would ever want to achieve that is because part of me believes that if I achieve that, then I will experience, the joy and the power of my creative ability. When in fact, uh, the joy and the power of my creative ability is right here with me right now. And so it's not thinking that achieving in the outer world will give us any kind of benefit. It just isn't true. What gives us the benefit is accepting ourselves in our own magnificence. And then we see it reflected in the world. So it's a measuring stick, but in fact, uh, all of the joy and resonance and power and happiness that I could ever want, I already have. And so do you. It's already part of us. It's part of being. And so um, understand that uh, we have it all right now. And the more that we can accept that we have it all right now, the happier we are in this moment, because this moment's the present moment is the only moment that will ever exist. And so we have to kind of wean ourselves off of thinking that, oh, well, life will be better if, and it's like, no, no, life will be better if I have greater spiritual growth, right? Life will be better if I have greater acceptance of my power and my wisdom. Well, uh, life will be conscious of life being as wonderful as it's always been as we grow in our consciousness. But life won't be better because life's already perfect as it is. Because in being ourself, we are all the love, we are all the joy, we are all the creative capacity, we are everything that's ever existed. And so, the game, if you will, is to remember that and to allow ourselves to experience that by relaxing, right? Because it takes effort. It takes effort to deny the fact that we already have it all. We already have and are everything that could be termed of value at all. It's us, it's ours already. And if there's anything to be achieved, it's just an awareness and acceptance of that and an enjoyment of that fact and the reflection of that fact. So we keep playing this game of self. That's why we don't say, or we do say self-realization, right? Because we're realizing that we've already got it all. And it's a matter of the more we realize that, the more we see that reflected in the outer world, and the greater joy there is, and it's like, and then you say, then the thought comes up, well, but what am I gonna do? I've got all this time, and it's like, yeah, you do, and you have the time because you created the time, and if you stop creating the time, it'll stop existing. But yeah, you know, absolutely. But if we're going to create the time, we want to do it consciously, right? It's like, oh, okay, I'm creating the thought and the game of time, and of like, oh, am I getting a return on my investments? Oh, okay, well, there's that differentiated world again that I'm creating with my mind, and that's fine, and I can do that. And it's so much better when I'm aware that that's what I'm doing, right? And that I'm aware that I have the choice to do that. And that's one of the things the other day, I just had such intense feelings of wanting to give up. And I said, oh, well, this is suffering. I'm going to go back and just rest in being. And it was like, because I know resting in being that there's no thought there. And the only way that I'm having this thought of wanting to give up and the struggle of it all is with my mind. And I can move beyond my mind to being, and to where my mind isn't engaged when I'm being, and so I don't have to continue creating the suffering for myself, and so I did that, and but it worked. So anyway, uh it's great to have choice, right? And that is and we exercise choice with our will, which is again a higher level, or more all-encompassing than our mind, right? So there's being that encompasses everything, then a lower vibration is will, and then a lower vibration is mind, and the will directs the mind. But the highest vibration is just being. And that's why, the book, Eckhart Tolle's book, Be Here Now, is so popular, because it's about being in the present moment, and that is beyond thinking. That's in the zone. That's there's no self-consciousness there, and it's and it's everything we could ever want. And if we want to choose a differentiated experience, right? Where there's darkness and light, and plus and minus, and happiness and sadness, and love and hate, and fair and unfair, and all of that. We can do that, right? But we better that we do it by choice. I wrote a book called Accepting Paradox, the Road to Mastery, and that's the whole thing is that the more that I accept loneliness, the more I accept that I am all there is, and there's nothing to be lonely about, and on and on and on. So it's, for me at least, it's helpful and wonderful to understand and accept that when I'm choosing to be aware of just being and having all that exists and be in the flow, and when I'm choosing to engage my mind and the physical differentiated world that it creates, and then I can see what I'm doing from a more, in my opinion, honest point of view, more truthful point of view. So anyway, that's where I am in my progress in uh, accepting and relating more and more to the fact that engaging in my mind and the differentiated world is a choice. And I can do that or not do that as I see fit. And I can move in and out of that as I see fit. And that's a really wonderful thing. And so we'll see how everything unfolds from here in the differentiated mind, right? And as I learn more and more about how to control that differentiated mind, I'll be sharing that with you too. All right. Be well. If you want to have a greater understanding of your mind and what it's doing, and a greater acceptance of the will that is yours, that's telling the mind to do what it's doing, I can possibly help with that in the differentiated world. So you can contact me at scottfriedman40@gmail.com for a free introductory coaching session to see how all of that works and experience it firsthand. Trust me, it's an experience. And that email address again is SCOTTFRIEDMAN40@gmail.com to set that up. If you want to share your win-wins experiences, and to the extent that they helped you experience being one with all that exists, contact me and we'll do an interview and we'll share and inspire other people as well as ourselves in identifying more win-win solutions within the realm of the mind. And my books are available on Amazon. You can find them on links to them on my website, www.thoughtcoachingbyscott.com. So let's go into the world and let's be aware of the fact that we're creating that world with our mind. And our mind is moving at the direction of our will. And we have a choice to disengage from all of that and rest in being, in the flow, whenever we want to. So that's existence. All right. Be well.